Mm. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shruti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. A few questions now. So in the 20th verse in the handout, there is the word Swakriyartheshu. That is how it is given in the handout. Such patha is there. But there is another patha, Swakiyartheshu. That is another patha. And after carefully examining both the pathas, the one which is adopted by Padmapadacharya is Swakiyartheshu. Therefore, I prefer that one only. And all explanation is given on that basis only. Then there is a question about loneliness and isolation. They are two different topics. First, let us look at loneliness. People all over the world, including the students of Vedanta, so they are also part and parcel of the world only. So everybody has this problem of loneliness. Everybody. I ask you a question. Suppose you are alone, you are left to yourself, you are alone, you alone are. How long can you be without starting something? Either you pick up a newspaper or put the video, put the TV on, or take a book and start reading, or start punching the numbers on the cell phone, or call somebody and start talking with him, or start remember some work and start doing it, so that you are engaged with those physical objects. So without doing any of those things, just by staying with oneself, how long can you do that? How much time you can be all by yourself? This question you have to ask yourself. I suggest probably you will not be able to stay all by yourself without getting into some distraction or the other, not more than 30 seconds to 1 minute. That is how I feel. Please come here. Come this side, yeah. I have a feeling that people, they just cannot stay with themselves without having some distraction or the other. They cannot stay with themselves. Am I right in my assessment? Mm.
Can you be absorbed in your own thoughts?
It's okay. It's okay. That becomes a daydreaming. Okay, but at least you are not running away from yourself to that extent. But you get absorbed in your own thoughts means that is daydreaming. So you now adopt daydreaming as a kind of a distraction. So that means world over human beings need a distraction. I'm not suggesting putting the TV on is wrong, nor picking up a book or newspaper is wrong. It is not about right, wrong. It is about how much how much time you can be with yourself, entirely with yourself, without any distraction. That is the question I am putting. So I am answering my own question, not more than 1 minute maximum. By that time, you will get a distraction. You need a distraction. And and if a proper distraction is not available, you are likely to become very frustrated. This is the problem of loneliness. You cannot be lonely. You cannot deal with loneliness. That is the problem. That problem is there. Every one of us have that problem. And the entertainment industry that is there all over the world is entirely created for the purpose of helping people to move away from themselves, because people are not able to face the loneliness in their life. The entire entertainment industry is on that basis it is created. And we invent so many things to engage the waking time, to engage ourselves in the waking state, so that we can avoid being lonely. This behavior that you can see among the human beings, and this behavior shows that human beings are afraid of loneliness. And so what they do, they invent some distraction or the other. Sometimes they have to invent it, or sometimes it is readily available. The distraction is readily available. Now the iPhones, etc., they provide a very nice opportunity to move away from loneliness, because now you are not lonely anymore. You are always in the company of something or the other which is other than yourself. So people are afraid of loneliness. And what all distractions they invent to move away from themselves, they all can be characterized as an attempt to escape from the loneliness. And but the truth is, you can never ever escape from loneliness, because suppose you feel lonely and you want to get rid of this loneliness by going out to the club. Now you are not lonely anymore. So you are in the company of other people. You need not deal with this menace of loneliness. And but the club can be there only for some time. And once the club activity is over and you walk out of the club, the loneliness is waiting at the corner and it will take you over again. So by escaping from loneliness, you can never become free from loneliness, because every single time you escape from loneliness, it is waiting at the corner. The moment your distraction ends, it will confront you, and you have to deal with the problem of loneliness again. It is there. You can never get rid of it. This is how people live. This is the scourge of human beings, that they have to face this loneliness. And however many attempts they may make to run away from loneliness, the loneliness is always waiting at the corner. The moment the distraction you invent ends, as it must, the loneliness is waiting there to take you over, and you are back into the problem of loneliness. This is how people live. And what is the solution for this problem I have defined? Do you agree with the description of the problem? The solution is, from now on, never try to escape from loneliness. You encounter, it comes to you, you face it, it bothers you. You acknowledge that this problem of loneliness is with you, and don't escape from loneliness. You take a vow not to escape from loneliness. You may have to do something, please go ahead and do it. You have to watch some TV program, go ahead and watch it. You have to read newspaper, do it. You have to read a book, of course you should read the book. You have to call somebody, you have to do that also. But any one of these activities or any other activity also should not be an attempt to escape from that inner loneliness. You make it a vow and confront that loneliness. You watch it. You be with it. And however difficult it is, don't run away from loneliness. You be with it. Then a transformation will happen. With some patience, you will be able to convert the loneliness into aloneness, into solitude. It is not loneliness anymore. And that solitude is amrutam. It is a nectar. And those who can live alone in solitude are blessed people. But then there is another word the questioner has added, isolation. The opposite of loneliness is aloneness or solitude, which I have described, but not isolation. People, they practice isolation, especially in Vedanta circles you find it. The worldly people, they are always trying to escape from loneliness, it is all right, and they are quite okay in the company of others. They live with others. That community life is all right with them, because that is how they live in the world. They live with the family, and they live with friends and relatives who go to marriage. You are surrounded by dozens of people of your near and dear. You live with them, you move with them, you eat with them. Like that, the worldly people are accustomed to live in family and community. They are comfortable with the company of other people. Whereas those who have come to Vedanta, to study Vedanta, they are not comfortable in the company of others. They don't want anybody's company. If the company comes their way, they try to run away from that company. It is just the opposite of what I said in the case of loneliness. And if you, in the ashrams, you find this attitude, everybody wants a single room. Nobody wants to share the room with other person. And everybody closes the door and sits inside. Now, is that aloneness? Is that solitude? No. Because then what it is isolation. Therefore, isolation is not the solution for loneliness. The solution for loneliness is aloneness or solitude, not isolation. The problem, isolation is different from solitude. In isolation, you isolate yourself from the family and the community and the society, almost like you have some phobia to move with people. That kind of, there are some phobias like that. And the Vedanta people, the way I noticed, seem to have developed this kind of a phobia. They talk nicely, but when it is time, they have to isolate themselves. And they don't know what is community living. In the ashrams also, they do not know the community living. In fact, in the ashrams, there is no community living. There may be 10 people living in the ashram, but they are not a community. They are all isolated. They all practice isolation. Now, are they practicing solitude? No, they are not practicing solitude. They close the door, sit inside, and then adopt one method or the other to escape from the loneliness. Sometimes the escape is in the form of reading a book or a novel, which is reading. I'm not complaining against the reading, but when you use reading as an escape from loneliness, that is what I am complaining. Or they use the newspaper and stay with the newspaper whole day and read every printed word. Or they sit with themselves and go on pursuing daydreaming, thinking in their mind. Outwardly, from the onlooker's point of view, it looks as if they are alone, but they are not alone. An entire herd of people is going in the head. That is not solitude. That is isolation. And by isolation, you have not solved the problem of loneliness. The only way to solve the problem of loneliness is not by escaping. Number one, I told, isolation is not the solution. You never try to escape from loneliness. You do not pursue isolation. You remain in solitude. And while you are alone, you are not doing this or that. You are not trying to engage yourself so that the solitude cannot be borne. You cannot bear with the solitude, so no such escape. And you remain in a state of thoughtlessness, and you abide in yourself. That is called solitude. Therefore, I have discussed three things: loneliness, isolation, and solitude. People in the world run away from the loneliness. People in the ashrams, mathas, and Vedanta circles practice isolation. You rarely come across a person who is in solitude. And the one who lives in solitude is a jnani. That is the entire topic.
In the Vipassana meditation classes, they take away all escapes. No TV, no internet, no books, nothing. 10 days you have to sit and meditate.
So that helps. That helps in cultivating solitude. So that question I have answered. Then there is a spiritual level, etc., that I also have answered. And then there is something about college life, this and that. I'm not answering that. Then, as long as one is identified with the world, or philanthropy and service at least doing some good to the unreal world compared to rituals, etc., which seem to be more selfish, like getting to heaven, etc. Examples of buffet, gates, etc. come to mind, as they seem to help others in some way, instead of amassing wealth for their kith and kin, even if it increases their ego, name and fame in the process. Please clarify. You see, we are not looking at these things as, okay, what you do may not be entirely good, but there is always some good in it. We don't look at these things like that. Suppose there is a kamya karma, means you perform a ritual to fulfill a desire. Now, is it the right thing to do or not? That is the question. And the answer is no, it is not good for you, because you don't know whether this karma will fulfill the desire or not. It is only a belief. Let us assume that it fulfills. A scripture says so, and that can be the truth. That must be the truth. It will fulfill the desire When the desire is fulfilled, you will not know for which karma you got that fulfillment. Therefore, the connection with the karma, with the result, you can never do that. Therefore, that gap will always be there. Suddenly you get a lottery, you don't know what kind of punyam you have done because of which you got lottery. Therefore, that gap is never filled. So you cannot feel the satisfaction. Namely, I have done that karma that day because of which I got this result today. That kind of a satisfaction you can never get in the context of rituals. You can get such satisfaction in a few cases. Like in the college, I studied hard. I did not wander here and there, and therefore I got good marks, and I answered all the questions in the interview properly, and they have selected me. Therefore, I could lead a happy life. Like that, you can connect your study and other things. But you cannot connect a ritual like that, because the ritual is supposed to give adrushta phalam. Therefore, there is no connection between karma and karma phala. I mean, in your understanding, there is no connection. There is connection in the design of the whole universe. That's why Bhagavan is called Sarvajnaha. He knows what karma you have done and what karma phala you have to get. Bhagavan knows, you do not know. While doing karma, what is the karma phala, when it will come, how much it will come, you do not know. And as and when you get karma phala, how it came, from which karma it came, that also you do not know. And the one who knows is called God. So that gap is there with the karma that is meant for fulfilling a desire. So if you are comfortable with that gap, okay, you go ahead and perform it. And in desiring, you create a time. And the time binds you. So you are in the bondage of karma, what is called karma bandhaha, very well said. So lokoyam karma bandhanaha, Shri Krishna says. Therefore, this human being, Lokaha is a human being, is in the bondage of karma. Therefore, by performing a ritual to fulfill a desire, you are only reinforcing the bondage of karma. You are not solving the problem of bondage. So that is how we have to understand. Now you enter into it and say, suppose I do some kamya karma. True, I will not become free from bondage, but there is some good in it, because you need a purohit, and the priest will come, and you give some good dakshina to the priest, that he will take to home, and he and his wife and children will enjoy that money. Therefore, some good in it. So like that, you cannot start another argument like that. That becomes very confusing. This way, it is like saying in India, I give you some rough, crude example if you don't mind. The government of India wanted to ban BD smoking. But then there is so much agitation in states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, etc., that you cannot ban BDs. If you ban BDs, the BD leaf collecting people, they are all Adivasis, poor families, they live in forests. They collect the BD leaves and bring to the town and sell there and get money, and with that money they purchase rice and other things and eat. And if you ban BDs, all of them will go without job. Therefore, you cannot ban BD manufacture. The government went back. Then they said, we will put the two bones and skull on the BD packet paper. Then again agitation started. No, if you put it every single time the BD smoking person sees that will put some ice on his enthusiasm, and so he is likely to smoke less BDs. Therefore, there will be job problems, and once again BD leaf collecting people, they are from the forest, and their goodwill will be lost. So you cannot do that. Therefore, government went back. So this way, for everything, whether it is good or bad for you, it is bad for me, you stop it. No, if I stop it, somebody will lose this economy argument. Let me call it economy argument. Suppose you stop eating all kinds of junk food. If all people, you stop eating junk food so that you will be healthy, your health will improve. Then you come out with an argument. If all people stop eating junk food, then all these restaurants will go bankrupt. Then there will be unemployment. They will lose their employment. Then their wife and children will suffer. So this way, you cannot come to any conclusion that way. Therefore, that argument is not valid. Whether kamya karma you should do it or not, need that, and it is good for you or not. And so that issue you have to understand that way only. Okay. Then philanthropy and service. In philanthropy and service, there are some issues which I have pointed out already in one of the classes. Philanthropy, more often than not, is the conceit of the rich man. Okay? So first, be ambitious, be competitive, and make a lot of money, and so worship the god of wealth, make a lot of money, and then do some philanthropy. This is how philanthropy is practiced the world over. Mostly. There may be the exceptions here and there. This is how philanthropy is practiced. And then the religious heads enter into it, because they have big rituals in their mind. That is how they look at the practice of religion. For them, the practice of religion consists of performing massive rituals and constructing big temples, putting up large idols like 156 feet idol of Hanuman, this and that. So this is their practice of religion. And that requires enormous amount of money. People are available, you can employ people, but money you have to get. And therefore, the gurus, they present a very attractive picture before the philanthropists. If you do this philanthropy, you will be blessed. The rich people are fundamentally unhappy people. You show me a rich man who is happy, it is very difficult. Suppose you come across a rich man who is happy. He is happy not because of his riches. He is happy in spite of his riches. Therefore, rich people are very unhappy people, very anxious people, because they believe that they possess wealth, but the fact is they are possessed by the wealth. Being possessed by wealth is worse than death. So rich people are very unhappy people, and they don't have a solution in their understanding. The riches, they have a kind of arrogance, and you cannot penetrate the arrogance which they create around themselves, and they remain in a kind of isolation from the common people and suffer because of the riches. Artham anartham bhavaya nityam, Shankara said. Always understand, riches are the source of misery. He said like that. So, the guru, the religious head, what advice he should give to the rich people? He should give the advice like Mahatma Gandhi did. Mahatma Gandhi advised the rich people like Birla, etc. They were his friends in freedom movement, etc. Birlas, etc. were his friends. He used to live in Birla Bhavan. Whenever he comes to Bombay, he resides in Birla Bhavan, because Birla happens to be his close confidant or friend. He advised the rich people, Mahatma Gandhi, you do not possess wealth. That is death. You cannot do that. You do not own the wealth that is with you. You are only trustee to that wealth. And therefore, he introduced the trusteeship principle and advised all the wealthy people to follow that principle. You do not own that wealth. You are a trustee of that wealth. Trustee means you protect it and use it properly. You cannot misuse it, but you cannot take it for yourself. That is the trustee job. So this is the message given by Mahatma Gandhi to the rich people. But the religious gurus don't do that. Religious gurus, what they do, you are rich because you have performed some wonderful rituals earlier life. And if you perform these rituals this life, you will become rich in the next life also. Like that, they introduce kamya karma into that riches which they have. And they believe it. And then they cannot perform the rituals or construct temples themselves because they do not know. They do not know and they do not want to know also because they are busy in making wealth and they are busy in managing their wealth. So now they cannot start Gayatri Japa and all that. And therefore, you need not do any rituals yourself. You need not do Nitya Karma, etc. That is not the point. You need not construct all these temples, etc. because you are not qualified for that. You give that money to me, I will do it. I am the person qualified for that. I will construct the temple. I will perform the huge ritual. You just pay the check, give the check, and all punyam will come to you. This kind of a message they give to the rich. Is this message correct? Outwardly it appears correct. But is it correct? According to the Shastra, is it correct? I doubt it. At least I can clearly say all of it is not correct. There are problems in it. There is a story in Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a storehouse of many messages and a lot of dharma and all that. And the Bhagavad Gita came from Mahabharata only. Vishnu Sahasranama also came from Mahabharata. There is a story you can check in Mahabharata. Dharmaraja performed Rajasuya Yaga. It's a great ritual. Only kings, emperors can perform it. Ordinary people cannot perform it. They are not eligible to perform it also. Only an emperor is eligible. And so he performed the Rajasuya Yaga. And there is a mandate as part of that yaga, the way you have to perform it. Dhanam is an important aspect of that yaga. While doing on different occasions, so the yaga takes a long time, maybe a few days or even weeks. And all through that yaga, while it is going on, the emperor who is doing it, called Yajamana, the person who is performing the ritual, elaborate ritual it is supposed to do a lot of charity, and all of that is prescribed. And Dharmaraja has given all the charity as expected and a little more or a lot more. All that charity he has done. And Dharma Yaga was concluded. The 5 brothers were sitting. Draupadi was also there. They were all congratulating themselves that we have performed a great function, great ritual very successfully, etc. Then suddenly, one of the 5 brothers saw a mouse or a rat, not mouse, not rat, a squirrel, which is halfway gold, half black. That is the squirrel. They saw it. It is running here and there. Arey, what kind of squirrel it is? One half is shining gold, other half is normal black. Very peculiar ritual, squirrel. Let us examine it. So one of them went and caught it and brought. And then that squirrel talks. So And it says, hey Dharmaraja, you have performed a great yaga, this and that. They were stunned. This one half is golden. And then it talks, look at that. Then they were surprised, stunned, and then, so now that that initial surprise was put aside for a while, and then they asked, how come you are half gold? Then it told its story. I was half gold, and other half I am struggling to make it, that part also gold, but I am unable to do it. And I came to your place with the hope that the other half also will turn gold, but it did not happen. What is that story? How you got the first half gold? There is a family, they have 3 chapatis. Father, mother and child. 3 chapatis they have. Only 3 that day. There is no more food in their home. Very poor people. And they are about to take those 3 chapatis. In the meanwhile, a beggar came. And he asked, I don't have food, sir, please give some food. So each one of them made a half of the chapati they contributed. And some curry also they contributed. They gave it to the beggar. And he took it and he consumed it. And he was very happy, drank some water, and he went away. And the remaining half chapati with the half curry, they ate, and all of them, they slept. And while breaking the chapati, some particles of food fell on the ground, which they did not notice. The floor is also not cement floor, it was a mud floor. Therefore, these particles of food which fell while making the chapati into 2 halves, in order to give to the beggar 1 half, I rolled in those particles unexpectedly and found that I have become half gold, golden in 1 half. Then that means that is the glory of charity coming from that poor family, because of which I became half golden just by rolling in that on that mud floor where they ate their food. So the other half has to become gold. And I was looking for an occasion. And I heard that Dharmaraja is performing Rajasuya and there a lot of charity is being done. And so I came here. I was rolling the whole place in the last 10 days, but nothing happened. That is the story. Okay. Now, what is written in the context of the story of Mahabharata? What is the message of the story? What are the verses there? I don't remember any of that. But the story itself conveys a message. Therefore, the amount of charity that you do, with the charity, how much big ritual or big temple is constructed, or how much big organization is set up and run, all these calculations do not seem to be convincing about the charity intention, the intention of the charity. I always say, in all these matters of karma, charity is also a karma, dhanam is also a karma, which is a very great thing. In all these karmas, the motive is supremely important. And the motive, what was the motive of that poor family which gave half of their food to the beggar? They don't have any motive except love. Whereas Rajasuya Yaga was performed by Dharmaraja because that establishes him as an emperor. That was the advice given to him. By performing Rajasuya, you will be the emperor of this country, and unquestioned authority you will have. And so that is how the Raja Rajasuyena Swarajya Kamo Yajeta. That is the Vidhi mandate. The king who wants to become Swarat, means the emperor, without any challenge from any enemy. So such a desire, with such a desire, the king has to perform Rajasuya Yaga. And as part of the yaga, a lot of charity is there. But the charity of that poor family proved to be lot superior to the charity of Dharmaraja. That is the story. So I hope that story brings the spirit of charity and philanthropy. Generally, we tend to measure charity and philanthropy in terms of the volume, the value, the work done, like that we tend to measure. We have to rejig our thinking. It is not about the volume. Somebody made a big temple. He has a greater virtue, and some poor lady is worshipping Shivalinga in some corner. Shivalinga made of mud, called Parthivalinga. Prithvi is mud. Take some mud and make a Shivalinga and put a flower on it. This is less valuable, and that big temple for Shiva, 108 feet linga is made, and 100 liters of milk was used to Abhishekam. That is more charitable. This is the human nature, to conclude like that. They measure in terms of volume, value, cost, effort, like that they measure. I think charity you cannot measure like that. I think you are measuring rather your ego rather than charity. Therefore, these are some of the ideas associated with charity. Then one question is asked. I am still continuing the same topic. When you give philanthropy or charity, why are you doing it? What for you are doing it? Suppose you are charitable this life, you will be very rich next life. That is how scriptures are. That's why you are doing it. Then it doesn't come under the category of karma yoga. Suppose you do a lot of charity, you will go to heaven. This heaven is a big promise made in all religions, including Hindu. Only difference is Christians and Muslims and Jews have one heaven, whereas Hindus have multiple heavens. Multiple levels of heaven they have, or multiple heavens also they have. In the Vedic mantras where karmas are mandated, multiple levels of heaven are there. Suvaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Mahaha, such multiple levels. Whereas in the Puranic literature, it is not multiple levels. Multiple heavens are there. For Vaishnavas, Vaikuntha, for Shaivas, Kailasa, like that. And therefore, by doing charity, you will go to heaven. That is how they do. Dhanam. By that, you see, once again, you can come with the question, when they do charity, so much good is happening to the other person. That question is always there. But we do not examine it on that basis. I already told you that. On that basis, we don't examine it. You see, suppose we all decide to travel to East Coast and then come back and tourism and all that, then the airlines will do much better economically. They will come out of their troubles. They will get lot of profits. Then the employees will be better. Therefore, let us all start going and coming back. We don't function like that. That argument, that economy argument, you have to put aside. Intrinsically, what is its worth? That only you have to examine. If you are performing the charity or philanthropy for the sake of glory in this life, name and fame, the philanthropists and the charitable people take every precaution that their name is written very well there. They take every precaution. When a big building is made, the moment you enter, the list of donors is displayed there prominently. And if the name is not included in that list, the donor will be feels insulted, feels that way. And the donor will be very angry. So they want their name to be etched on the stone so that it will not be erased, it will be there forever. That is the idea. That is the idea of etching on the stone. Suppose I write on the wall with a chalk that such and such person donated. That will go in a day. Whereas you etch it on a stone and fix the stone there, it will remain forever. They want it. They want their name to be written on that. In India, when they make temples, they write the donor's name on the shrine itself. In some of the temples like that. I knew a small temple, Subramanyeshwara temple. So even as you step in, it is written there. So and so Kamancha Subbayya has made this temple. Like that it is written on stone. God is a bit below, but this is a bit above. The devotees first see Kamancha Subbayya's name before they see God. So all of this in the name of philanthropy, it is obviously not the glorious thing, and obviously not a desirable thing, and it is a blemish in philanthropy. Certainly, you should accept that. Other than these two, means fulfillment of desires in this life as well as the next life, that is one motive. Getting the name established in the society as a great philanthropist, thereby satisfying that ego, that is another motive. Obviously, the philanthropy and charity performed with these motives is not of high standard. You can see that. Shri Krishna himself doesn't agree with this kind of a thing. Dattavyamiti yaddanam, that is the trusteeship principle. I have more money, what should I do with it? I should part with it, therefore let me do. That is how Shri Krishna looked at it. He did not have any motive. And he called it Sattvikam Dhanam. With motive you do, it is Rajasam Dhanam, and then Tamasam Dhanam also he described. In the world, most of the philanthropy is either Rajasa or Tamasa. Very rarely you come across Sattvika Dana. Maybe the Dana mentioned here, Buffett, maybe it is Sattvika Dana, God bless him. Bill Gates also may be Sattvika Dana. I do not know the details. Must be Sattvika Dana. That is how it appears to me on the face of it. Okay? So, you see recently here itself in America, Bill Gates gave a lot of money and made Bill Gates Foundation. Now the point is, does he control that foundation? Does he himself controls it, or he just gave up the control of the foundation also? You have to look into that. And suppose he himself is controlling the foundation. Generally that is what philanthropists do. They themselves control the foundation. You always understand that Uncle Sam contributes some money also. They get benefit from Uncle Sam. You know Uncle Sam? That is the government benefit they get in India as well as this country. So that is another element which is there. So instead of paying taxes, they do charity. In India they do that. Instead of paying taxes, they do charity. And then sometimes the government puts a condition, 2% social responsibility, something like that is there. And you have to spend it, it's a must. And based on the turnover, you have to spend some on research and development. It's a must, legal. And therefore they follow the law to the extent necessary. So all that counts as charity, but there is less charity in it as it appears to be. So I am saying all these things. So the motives are clearly there, And all such motivated charity is of second class charity only. You cannot put it in the first class category. Then one more thing is there. Suppose the person is charitable, not for the sake of heaven or etc., not for the sake of his name and fame. He just gives charity and forgets about it. There are some charitable people like that. Still, one more question we add. That kind of charity, which is obviously free from such low-level motives, it is obviously much superior. Is it performed with a sense of self-fulfillment? That is the question. Means, I am a rich person, I have a lot of money with me, I own all that money, and by giving away some of it or more of it or a lot of it for good charitable purposes, I will feel good about it. That is called self-fulfillment. If it is performed for the sake of self-fulfillment, that is also problem. So you put this charity issue before me as a question. So at the end of it, I have not validated any charity whatsoever. Most of the charity, so I have put it aside. In a way, I have pointed a finger at most of the charity. Did you notice that? And so what am I doing? So sometimes I too get doubt. What am I doing? But then my conscience tells me that I am telling rightly. And I don't see any reason to modify it, except I have to be politically correct. For that reason, I have to modify it. Otherwise, I need not modify it. I can just leave it where I kept it there. In Vedanta, we say, you do not own anything. You come empty-handed into this world and you leave the empty-handed out of this world. And you share what you have with others out of love. And that is not a kamya karma. All this dhanam is not a kamya karma for you. And it is not even a self-fulfilling action. Self-fulfillment, suppose I take a class of Vedanta. And I do that for the sake of fulfilling my own self. As an act of self-fulfillment, I have done this. That is blemish or not? That applies to charity also. Therefore, in Vedanta, this charity, philanthropy, they are all counted as samsara only. And Mahatmas keep away from all that samsara. And to the extent they could not keep away from that, only shows that they have become victims of samsara to that extent. So that is where things stand. Just because I said that, the people want to stop charity, nothing changes, and what happens, happens. The world plots on. With charity, world will be going on. Without charity also, world will be going on. Okay? Jagat is mithya. It is not so real as it has to be propped up by charity and all that. Here is a question. A person faces difficult situations in life. A friend died. Now, you should grow out of that kind of sorrow. People die all the time. There is death all around. This is the contradiction of this world. There is life and there is death. So you complain about the death of a person shows that you have to learn a lot more. For God's sake, don't complain about death of a person. All people are dying. Even now, even as I am speaking, people are dying. So I do not grieve over the death of, if I were you, I will not grieve about the death of a person. I will not make it as a problem in life, and I will not complain about it. One thing is settled. Then somebody makes a bad remark about me, which is going around. You should feel blessed by that. Because anybody who says things against you is doing a service to you. And anybody who is praising you is doing a disservice to you. In Telugu, there is a proverb. There is a particular tree which we use this in sambar and all that, that long thing you use, a drumstick we use, the tree, drumstick tree, that is the tree. Its branch, its trunk and its branches, thick branch, you cannot believe how weak that branch is. But it looks quite strong and substantive. And if somebody, hey, that is a good tree, please go up, and you make the person go up the tree, the branch suddenly breaks at once and he falls down. Therefore, when somebody is praised, oh, you are great, you are this, that, then it is said that he is making him go up the drumstick tree. So he will fall. Therefore, whosoever is spreading bad things about you, wrong things about you, is doing a service to you. And whosoever is praising you and saying good things about you here and there, is doing a disservice to you. What is the disservice? It is likely to create some sense of ego in you. And sometimes you may believe what all he says is true also, because they exaggerate, but you end up believing the exaggeration. And if somebody says that you are a villain, you have to look at that person with love and a blessing. You bless that person. You look into your heart. Am I the villain? No, I am not the villain. Did I do any mischief? No, I have not done any mischief. No, that person claims that you have done a mischief. Very sad that the person knowingly tells such lies, chooses to tell lies, and thereby damaging my reputation. That is what the person is trying to do. And therefore, what I should do is bless the person. And I don't need to have any reputation. And if a few people think that I am a villain, it is all right. And I do not consider that as a problem in life. I never considered that as a problem in life. I went through some of it, and I never considered it as a problem in life. And I did not lose one night's sleep over that. Therefore, I do not consider that also as a problem. So you have told that you have two problems, but I dismissed both. They are not problems. So why it is happening? What is your problem? All these are overwhelming. They are not overwhelming. They are routine things. You can dismiss them. You need not feel sorrow for them. Why life is so hard? That for these two reasons you don't want to say that. If these are the two reasons, then life is not hard. Life is quite comfortable. They are not the reasons. Sometimes what happens is you have to take care of a person who has no chance of recovering, who has no chance of becoming normal. The person is abnormal. God forbid, like an autistic child or whatever. or a person who is schizophrenic in the family, and they don't have any chance of becoming normal and live their life. You have to constantly prop them up and take care of them. They are younger to you. Therefore, you are. I am like I am taking care of a younger person. I will go out of this world sooner than that person. That person cannot live by himself or herself. I have to prop up all the time. How long I will do? I can do only till the last breath. And afterwards, somebody else has to take care of the person. Who will take care? I don't know. That can cause anxiety, fear, worry, etc. And even now, whenever you look at the person, your heart breaks. You cannot do anything. You cannot solve the problem. There is no solution for the problem. Then I can say life is hard. Probably I have a reason to say life is hard. Even that kind of a hardship also can be carefully handled, and even that can be, that problem also can be resolved by the principle of acceptance. You accept the situation. You do your duty. You do the best that you can do, and the rest you leave to that supreme will, and you accept what is. Don't resist mentally what is. That causes enormous mental distress. Don't fall into that trap. Live life normally without being distressed mentally because of this kind of a misfortune in life. That is a tall task, not easy. And while facing such a task, you say life is hard, I can easily understand that. Though I will not be able to resolve any of that, I can sympathize with you because I know what it is. Life is really hard in such a respect. We have a proverb, what life cannot solve, what life cannot end, life cannot mend, death ends. Death is the only solution. Till the person dies, there is no solution to the problem. That kind of a problem people face. There are many people face that kind of a problem. They have a right to complain. Life is hard like that. I am surprised that you complain that way. Why should you complain? So, therefore, you don't complain. From the language, I can see it is a lot of attachment. It is. Therefore, please listen to some of the talks I have given about attachment. Here, in one of these Atma Bodha classes, I talked about attachment. Please listen to that. Then, I am a sadhaka, yet I am a victim of this sorrow. That you don't condemn yourself like that. Why do you say I am a sadhaka? You are a normal person, take it like that. And you are susceptible to sorrow like anybody else. And therefore, you are normal only. You are not abnormal. In feeling the sorrow, you are normal. Because that is how people are. Because they are attached to many things and they feel the sorrow. That is unfortunate, but that is how people are. And if you feel such sorrow and attachment, you are one more person among the crowd. So you need not condemn yourself. You are normal only, nothing abnormal. And you examine this attachment and see whether you can come out of that attachment. I know you have suggested witnessing is the only way. You also said in an earlier class to watch suffering is not easy. You always say don't ask how, just do it. But I need a few hows. Please give some pointers to come out of grief, desire, compulsive thinking. What you call grief is not a grief at all. I dismiss that as a grief. It is not a reason. So you are manufacturing grief for yourself. Stop that. Stop grieving. Remember, ashocyananvashocastvam prajnavadanscha bhashase gatasu nagatasunschya nanushocanti panditaha. You listen to that Gita verse, get hold of some CDs that are there in ashram. I have talked about that verse for a few hours. You listen to all that and stop grieving. There is no reason to grieve. And then listen to the attachment story and you will be able to come out of it. Then by now you must give up desires. You still keep desires. Very unfortunate that these desires make you suffer. People suffer only because of desires. There is no other reason for suffering. I always say a bit in a rough way, people complain a lot about suffering, but they don't miss even one breakfast. The idea of saying that is not to ridicule suffering. I understand suffering. Suffering is not alien to me. I know what it is. And how people suffer, I can easily appreciate and sympathize with all that. But I say, sometimes we suffer because we want to suffer. It is as though we don't want to get rid of the suffering, as though we have developed some kind of a peculiar attachment even for suffering. It looks like that, it works like that. Therefore, the grief and the desire, these two I dismiss. You can easily solve them. There is compulsive thinking. That is the third. That is a problem. Compulsive thinking haunts all the people. Nobody is an exception. Even Swamis are also victims of compulsive thinking. So, what you have to do is, do Shravanam, which you seem to be doing. Do some Mananam also. Read Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The abridged version by Nikhilananda ji. You read 2-3 pages every day. That will help all these issues of grief, desire and compulsive thinking. Learn to do some pranayama, sarala pranayama, not some exotic pranayama. Very light, simple pranayama. And the other day I have done a breath meditation 4 days continuously. You practice that. All of that will help you to overcome the compulsive thinking. Then a question, can a person be completely egoless? Yes, you can be. Only you have to put your finger on the states of mind which precipitate the ego. The word precipitate you should understand. Earlier there was nothing, it was a clear solution. Just add a drop, everything precipitates. That is a chemistry thing it is. The well-known example is silver nitrate solution, transparent solution in a test tube. Add 1 drop of salt, sodium chloride solution, 1 drop. Everything precipitates as silver chloride. That is the standard example of precipitation in chemistry. Very similarly, there are states of mind which precipitate the ego at once. And you avoid those states. Briefly, the states are 2. And what all you can count, they all come under the one or the other. Those 2 states are desire and fear. The moment you have a desire, the ego is precipitated. You become egotistic even while desiring. And when you are afraid, that is the ego. So you have to examine, you have to give up the desires, expectations, etc. You have to give up. And when you give up, you will not even know what is ego. And when you give up superstitions and constant imagination of the future, Once these two you give up, you should, superstition and imagination of the future, those two you have to give up. It's not about giving up future, because there is no thing called future. Only imagination of future is there, and that you have to give up. And once you give up these things, there will be no ego. Egoless awareness, you grow into it. It is very much possible. Then there is the question of doership. Can we always they have the attitude of non-doership? You have to cultivate it. I have devoted one class in Atma Bodha that you are not the doer. Doership is false. Shankara is coming out with one more verse where the same topic is discussed one more time with another example. The doership is false. So, you have to listen to some of these classes. Recently, I have done some Vishnu Sahasranama classes back in ashram, where Dhata, Vidhata, such names I have explained. Once you understand that everything happens because of the supreme will, you do not do anything. Everything happens because of the supreme will. And you remind that to yourself again and again. That is called bhakti. Once you develop that bhakti in life, then the doership will go away. Once the doership goes away, now you have settled the problem of ego totally. And egoless awareness is the Jivan Mukti. You are liberated even while living when you reach the state of egoless awareness. Then there will be no rebirth. That is also part of the question. There will be no rebirth. Rebirth is for the ego only. The egoistic entity, that is the Linga Sharira, they call it, that alone takes rebirth. When you live as the egoless awareness, there is no rebirth or any such thing. So then what about Punya Papa? There will be no Punya and Papa for non-doer. The Punya and Papa come only with doership. When you say you are the doer, then the Punya and Papa will come and attach to you. No, I am doing Punya, why Papa will come? You think like that. Even while doing Punya, there is some Papa in it. Sarvarambha hi doshena dhumen agnirivavrutaha. Shri Krishna. Arambha karma. All karmas, including big rituals that you perform, they bring you a lot of punyam, but certainly they bring some papam also. Because known to you or unknown to you, there will be some papam involved in it. Just like when you put the fire, there will be smoke. You cannot have fire without smoke. Similarly, you cannot have punya karma without some papa in it. Do you understand? There is a crude proverb in Telugu. Even the most devout Brahmana eats a kg of meat per year. That is the proverb. I don't know where from that proverb came. It is there in Telugu. He is the vegetarian, but somehow in 1 year period, some non-veg stuff goes into his tummy. How it goes, God knows. That is the proverb. తెలుగులో ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ ది సేమ్ వే. బ్రాహ్మణుడు కూడా ఏడాది అయ్యేప్పటికీ ఎంతో కొంత మాంసం భక్షించి ఉంటాడు. Means what? Some mosquito or some bacteria or whatever it goes into the tummy that is living and it gets killed. This is how you end up putting some meat into the tummy. Not a lot. 1 kg per year is not a lot. Means whatever food you eat, there is some problem in it. The idea is, the point is how much meat he is eating. That is not the point. The point is the proverb message only this much. Even in a very pious lifestyle, there is some impiety. Even in a very punya karma, there is some papa. You cannot avoid it. Sometimes it is obvious also. Sometimes it appears very clearly that the papa is there. You can see the papa. And if you point out, they become angry. So, therefore, the doership is there. The punya and papa you cannot avoid. Even if you do only punya throughout the life, some papa will come along with that punya. The only way to get rid of punya and papa is come out of the sense of doership. We'll stop here. Om Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.